What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Ango Show. Currently traveling, but as always, I want to keep you updated with everything that's happening in pro wrestling. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. Don't forget, we do go live Monday through Friday on the channel. This week, for the remainder of the week, we will be postponing the shows for next week. But obviously, a lot of big things in the works, so just stay tuned. With that being said, let's talk about Adam Cole. Adam Cole was reportedly backstage at AEW Dynamite last night, but for those who didn't know, Adam Cole has not returned to the TV screens just yet. Now, it does sound like we are getting closer and closer to an Adam Cole return, which is why I want to talk about this specifically. There's been a lot of talk about Adam Cole, a lot of talk about Adam Cole's recovery, and also there's been some talk about Adam Cole's personal relationship with Britt Baker. Now, I am not TMZ, and I don't really care to talk about the personal relationships of those who are in professional wrestling, but it is important to mention that there has been a lot of talk about Adam Cole, and a lot of people are kind of concerned as to where he fits in modern-day AEW. A lot of time has passed since he's been on the TV screens, and quite frankly, I understand why a lot of fans are concerned. Now, with that being said, a couple things that I do want to address with Adam Cole. Now we got Okada, we got Will Ospreay, we got Hangman Page and Swerve dominating the top of the card. And Adam Cole at one point was destined to be a world champion in AEW, and then obviously due to health concerns, we know those plans were put aside. Now we got Darby Allin and Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson all involved in the title picture. And a lot of people are wondering, how does Adam Cole just fit into modern day AEW? And quite frankly, I don't have an answer for that. And I know this might be a little bit controversial to some, but I want to throw it out there. Maybe Adam Cole's time in AEW should potentially come to an end. Obviously, we know he signed with AEW for quite a bit of time, but it might make sense for Adam Cole to go back to WWE. I think Adam Cole is going to have a little bit of a tricky situation coming back into the fold of AEW television. And honestly, with Adam Cole going back to WWE, Triple H has a lot of favoritism towards Adam Cole. I think that was pretty obvious when you watched Adam Cole and Undisputed Era on NXT television. So I don't know if Adam Cole would be a world champion in WWE. I'm not necessarily saying that. I just do feel a little bit more comfortable with him going back to WWE in the sense of how he was overall booked by Triple H. And in comparison to Tony Khan, I think so much time has passed where Adam Cole will not be the new favorite toy. I would love to be wrong. I would love to see Adam Cole do some really cool stuff on television. I just don't know if Tony Khan would be able to do that considering all the changes that the company has undergone. And quite frankly, MJF and Adam Cole, the Devil storyline was one of its lowest moments in company history. So that there is a little bit of concern for that. It appears that AEW could be building a new faction. I was actually really happy to hear this because I've been wondering why the hell isn't Deonna Purrazzo getting some sort of push. PWInsider.com has reported that there's been talks in AEW of building a faction around Deonna Purrazzo. They mentioned that there was no other details provided, including who could be involved in the group or in the feud with the group. Look, guys, Deonna Purrazzo, one of the better performers out there, experienced. A little bit of experience in WWE, obviously a lot of experience in TNA as well as ROH. She comes to AEW, you see a little bit of her, and then for some reason, you don't see much of her again. The big talk on social media today is how great AEW's women's division is. And listen, I am not going to say anything bad about their women's division. I have been praising it all year that their women's division is absolutely stacked. The problem is I don't think the booking surrounding the women's division reflects that, and I think that kind of becomes problematic. When you add a faction for Deonna Purrazzo, I think if she is the leader, it automatically puts her, because perception is reality, I think it puts her in a position where she will start to get a little bit more spotlight. I think that's a good idea. I think she's a fantastic worker. I think she's good on the mic. I think if you look at what she did in Impact Wrestling, there has been just so many incredible matches and feuds for her. I think a lot of people expected that to immediately be the case in AEW, and that necessarily wasn't the case. So You build a faction around Deonna Purrazzo. I think that is fantastic news. But now you got to build a faction where the counterparts to the faction are equally as important. And there's got to be some chemistry there. I don't know who AEW will surround themselves with Deonna Purrazzo, but I do think it's the right decision. And quite frankly, I'm looking at the TBS Championship. I'm looking at Mercedes, and I'm looking at Toni Storm, and I'm looking at Mariah May, and I'm seeing what they're all doing here, and I think they have some great things in the works. But I want to propose a better idea. Let's get Deonna Purrazzo's faction to overthrow Mercedes. Let Mercedes be the heel. Let Deonna Purrazzo be the babyface, and let her faction be a babyface faction. I think in wrestling we get so many heel factions that, kind of becomes a little tiresome. Let Deonna be a babyface. Let her go over Mercedes. Let her run the TBS Championship division, and then if you want to move Mercedes into the world title picture, you can do that. I think this would be a great move for AEW, and I do look forward to seeing what they do. And finally, some WWE news. Ken Shamrock has reportedly signed a new Legends deal with the WWE. This was revealed on Insight with Chris Van Vliet, and honestly, I am so excited about this. Ken Shamrock is one of those guys where I've always kind of wondered how maybe he could get back into the WWE universe, and for some reason, I don't know why this hasn't happened yet. Look, Ken Shamrock, one of those guys where I feel like, at least for me, growing up, I remember Ken Shamrock on WWE television, and watching Ken Shamrock being a legitimate badass going into professional wrestling, it was just really cool to see. WWE has been doing this thing where they're just signing more and more talented Legends contracts, and I've talked about this quite a bit. It is actually really exciting to see that WWE has taken that approach. I feel like it's so much more comfortable and so much more easier for WWE to actually do this, because not only are they establishing relationships again, but they're also really strengthening the thing that makes pro wrestling, which is the generations that came before. And when you can have those relationships all cleaned up and they're able to now show up on TV at any point, that is huge. Plus Ken Shamrock, I'm not saying he's going to have full-on wrestling matches, but he did some stuff in Impact not that long ago, and quite honestly, man, he still looks good. He's still shredded, and he's still doing his thing. So for me, this is the way that I'm looking at it. I think this is a fantastic thing for WWE. Getting those relationships built out, amazing. Ken Shamrock being in the good graces of the WWE, amazing. And I'm just going to assume a lot of the credit here needs to go to TKO and Triple H, especially when you consider that wrestling video games are, a big thing, and the action figures and stuff and the merchandise. You never know what could happen. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show. I'll see you guys next time.